Thank you for coming, Mark. And I've known Mark for about 20 years, I think. And he's a great guy. So let's give him a little applause.
Well, good morning. I hope you slept well last night. I'm going to start out with, in the usual way, I'm going to start out with the obligatory apologies. And there are two of them. One, let's just say it's been an interesting couple of last weeks and in my household, and because of daughter graduating from college and aged relatives needing to be taken care of. I didn't get this done as quickly as I had wanted to get it done, and therefore I only got the text of this thing to Marnie on Sunday. All right? So, and Dennis had said, can you get it to her a couple of weeks ahead of time? Well, it didn't work out. So anyways, my apologies to Marnie for being as tardy on that as I was. And I'm sure she will be able to, shall I say, tear me to shreds without too much trouble. But the second one is that I had originally planned to stay through the panel discussion tonight, but my mother came home from the hospital after having had knee surgery yesterday, so I need to leave probably at 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon. So I'd be glad to be around and talk to people, especially at lunch and after lunch, if you want. We'll have plenty of time for discussion and rebuttal and and elucidation and other kinds of things like this. So feel free to join me at lunch if you want to. But I just can't stay through the panel tonight. So, anyways, what I'm going to try to do with this presentation is think with you a little bit about the recent past and the near future of American Lutheranism. I'm going to especially I'm going to trace the history and especially try to use the history to inform what the near future could look like. I've got a proposal for, building a better Lutheran church or getting us out of the mess that we're in, or who knows, maybe it's a pipe dream, but so this is what I'm going to try to do today. So, obviously as a historian, you've got to go back into the past. So let's start with Adam and Eve. Canaan, there isn't much in human history past the 11th chapter of Genesis. That after the Genesis 11, it's all mainly reruns, right? But I've been playing with a phrase recently that has been of some interest to me, and the phrase is the tyranny of the recent past. The tyranny of the recent past. And what I mean by this is that our historical imaginations and our understanding of historical possibilities tends to be fairly limited. We go back 30 or 40 years maybe. We remember what it was like. We all remember what our alma maters. I was there, and I've yet to talk to anybody who wasn't sort of at their alma mater during the golden age. Kind of thing like this. But but especially in the sense of what Lutheranism is. People's imagination, especially their historical imagination, tends to be fairly limited. Going back really only 20 or 30 years, this comes up especially when I'm teaching seminarians. They have for them, the Green Book is recent history. I mean, it is basically all they know. The cranberry disaster only has just recently come along. So, when you talk to them about Lutheran liturgical practices, for example, like this, that's all they know is the Green Book. Sometimes this is known as the Pastor Johnson hypothesis. Lutheranism is what Pastor Johnson did at my home congregation when I was growing up. Right? The trouble is that the history of Lutheranism, especially the history of American Lutheranism, is much richer than we think. It's hard to express, but we do have resources from our past that I think really can give us some options in our present difficulties. So this is what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to go back and explore the foundations of American Lutheranism and try to expand the possibilities or the range of possibilities. And I'm going to do this in two major areas or two main areas. One is theology and the other is structure. I'd like to go back into the history of American Lutheranism and think about theology and structure. I will suggest that the dominant form of Lutheran theology over the course of American history has been what is oftentimes called a churchly pietism. Churchly pietism. Now, of course, pietism tends in a number of areas, in a number of circles, of being sort of a whipping boy. Pietism is traced back as sort of the root of everything that somebody doesn't like in American Lutheranism. You're just pietist, kind of thing like that. It's not true. It's not echt Lutheranism. But when I talk about churchly pietism, it's a combination of a moderately confessional Lutheranism that's warmed by a healthy dose of pietist spirituality. You have to remember that almost for the first 250 years of American Lutheranism, almost all the leaders and most of the pastors that came over were pietists. The confessional Lutherans, with some exceptions, especially in the Missouri Synod and the Buffalo Synod and places like that, the confessional Lutherans were not the mission-minded folk. They were the ones who stayed home. The ones who came over here were the pietists. They were the ones who were doing mission. And America was a mission field. We forget that.